Hey guys, welcome to the channel. It's Hamza, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Airbnb IPO and why I did not invest in it. So of course, before I talk to you guys about why I didn't invest in it, I am going to tell you this. I think Airbnb is a great company. In fact, I use Airbnb personally on my short-term rentals. And believe it or not, I probably get around 80% of my bookings through Airbnb. Now, there are other platforms that I use, such as VRBO and other smaller platforms, including my website, that generate traffic for my short-term apartment rental business. But Airbnb has been the primary source of traffic for that business for me. And honestly, it's worked out pretty well. So I know what you guys are thinking now. You guys are probably wondering why I didn't invest in Airbnb, although I know that 80% of my traffic has been generated from there. And I'm gonna talk about exactly that in this video. But before I get on with the video, please remember to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm so that other people can enjoy this video as well. So the first thing I wanna talk about is revenue. Let's talk about Airbnb's revenue and how that company has performed over the past few years. Now, in 2015, Airbnb's revenue was just $2 billion. It grew to about $4 billion towards the end of 2018 and continued to grow after that. Now, of course, then we had 2020 and the pandemic hit, which froze travel and vacation rental. That's exactly when my furnished apartment business started to struggle. I had about 50 units around Houston, Texas, and then I had to downsize because there just wasn't enough demand. Now, I will tell you this, even though there wasn't demand, the number one driver of traffic at that point was still Airbnb for me. And we all know, with the vaccine being right around the corner, the Airbnb business and market in general is going to pick up. So I really think that Airbnb is onto something, and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about some of the major advantages that Airbnb has over some of the brick and mortar companies like Marriott and Hilton. Now, you have to realize, when you own a company like Marriott and Hilton, you have a lot of assets that you have to manage. And these assets often require maintenance and service. They also need a lot of staff in order to keep these hotels or operations open for long times. So during the pandemic, we've really seen the hotel and the hospitality business and industry struggle as a whole. However, as far as Airbnb is concerned, they don't really own any assets. For them to run this business during the pandemic has still been a profitable business. And that is mainly due to the fact that they don't own any assets. I mean, it's right that people like me who were renting to short-term clients have struggled, but I think Airbnb is very smart when it comes to that. Because they don't own any assets, they really don't have too much stuff that they need to manage, which means their business is running very lean, which also means it would be perfectly justified that they would actually grow from here on forward. Now, I think Airbnb is doing another very smart thing that we need to talk about. In the past, 74% of Airbnb clients are below the age of 44. Airbnb is now starting to target older clients with Airbnb Plus. These are clients that they are targeting that are above the age of 44 and have money and are willing to travel and want to stay in neighborhoods that may not have accessible hotels. Airbnb is targeting these clients by giving them access to places that they could stay that they couldn't have otherwise stayed because there are no hotels. And of course, during the pandemic, we must not forget there's a lot of people who just wanted to get away from city living. Airbnb has been an amazing way for those people to find places to live outside dense metropolitan areas. We are seeing tiny homes or vacation rentals that are located outside the city area see a lot of traffic as people now decide to get away. And I think this is a trend that is going to continue to grow as people are actually continuing to enjoy living in the outdoors. Another positive thing about Airbnb is that in the past, you had cities and countries that were banning Airbnb now starting to slowly open up to Airbnb. And if you actually think about it, it's actually in the city's benefit to open up to Airbnb, as now they can charge them a tax or a fee for these short-term apartment or home stays. So as more and more cities and countries now start accepting Airbnb as a form of business, hosts are no longer afraid to operate Airbnbs because now they have clear guidelines as to what they need in order to operate. In most cases, they need to pay a fee or a tax. And the best part about it is that that is all included in your Airbnb setup. So based on where you're located, Airbnb will automatically include those fees or taxes, which is amazing because you as a host don't really need to do anything. And your local municipality is actually earning money because of your business. So now that I've mentioned all the positive things about the technology behind Airbnb and Airbnb as a company, let me go ahead and tell you about the risks and why I didn't invest on IPO day. So based on the valuation that we all got and we all heard, Airbnb was supposed to open up at $68 a share. And obviously that's not the case because the market's really hot right now and there's a lot of money chasing new stocks, especially stocks like Airbnb. And I initially thought that if Airbnb got close to $120, I would be interested in buying that company. However, on IPO day, Airbnb launched for over $145. And since I didn't get in at the $68 price, I decided to wait it out. And the reason I decided to wait it out is because I saw other IPOs and what has been happening to them recently. It's become a trend where companies like Snowflake, like DoorDash would IPO at really high valuations, and then after the IPO, they would get into a little dip area. Now, of course, Snowflake is back in the positive, but it did take it some time to rebound from that dip. And I anticipate the same thing is going to happen for DoorDash. And this leads me to believe that there is going to be a continued dip for Airbnb, which means there may be a really good buying opportunity. But that's only one of the reasons that I chose to hold back on the IPO. The other main reason that I decided to hold back for the IPO is in their S1 filing, Airbnb clearly states that they had a rough Q4. And realistically, their Q4 results will only come out early next year. So we're already going to be in Q1 when Airbnb announces their Q4 earnings. So we know that Airbnb IPO'd in Q3 because they had a stronger Q3 as the economy started to rebound. But then they had a tough Q4 because there was a surge in COVID cases. So they basically told us that they are going to have a difficult fourth quarter in 2020. And once that earning call happens, my anticipation is that the stock price will drop a little further. So in my opinion, I think the best time to jump into Airbnb would probably be sometime around the first quarter of 2021. Now, quick disclaimer here. I'm just a guy on YouTube. I'm not telling you to buy Airbnb stock. I'm just letting you guys know if I were going to invest in Airbnb, that would be the time that I would look at buying the stock. I personally believe that Airbnb has a good future and that their year-on-year growth is going to be strong as the pandemic dissolves and more people start taking the vaccine. I also believe the fact that they don't have any assets that they need to maintain or service, this is going to be a huge benefit to them and will help them continue to grow at an accelerated pace. That's it for me. I'll see you guys next video.